大家好，这里是 ACM 萌传媒专访节目，我是特邀主持人 Julie 杨。今天是9月30日，离美国中期选举还有37天。本次选举，我们所居住的 Montgomery County 蒙哥马利郡选情并不明朗。眼下共有3位候选人竞争 County Executive 郡长的职位，他们是共和党的 Mark Elric， 民主党的 Mark Elric， 共和党的 Robin Ficker 和以独立人身份竞选的 Nancy Florine。为了帮助广大华府观众更好的做出选择 ，ACM 特别邀请了候选人来此接受访问。上周我们采访了以独立人候选身份参选的 Nancy Florine。今天我们请来了共和党候选人 Robin Ficker 先生，跟他聊一聊他的竞选的理念和他的背景。欢迎观众朋友们随时提问，我们会及时让受访者回答。好 ，Good afternoon, Mr. Ficker.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, welcome to ACM. Now, may I call you Robin?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Now, you wear many different hats. You are an attorney, a real estate broker. You have been a sports haggler, and in Montgomery County, you are a staple in political life here. Now, I just want to give a little bit background to our audience who might not be very familiar with you. Now, you run 10 times for political office since 1972. You run one time as a Democrat for Senate, for U.S. Senate, and 9 times as a Republican. And out of 9 times, let me look at my notes here. That you, out of 9 times, you run 1 time for U.S. Senate, twice for Congress, twice for Maryland State delegates, twice for Montgomery County Council, and including this time, twice as county executive. Now, can you tell me what made you keep coming out to run? Why all different posts that you run for?
Well, I am not a quitter. I've lived my entire life here in Montgomery County, and I have brought about the 2 big changes in the county government since the year 2000. In 2008, I got an amendment passed which requires a unanimous 9-member county council to increase property taxes more than the rate of inflation. That was my first Super Bowl. Okay. My second Super Bowl was getting term limits passed in 2016 to limit the council and executive to 3 4-year terms in office. Every elected official and the Washington Post opposed both of those questions, but term limits passed with 70%, 300,000 votes. We won majorities in 253 of 257 precincts. That was a vote for change. I represent change. Our 2 opponents have been in the county government for 16 and 12 years already. They aren't going to change their spots. I represent change. We're going to move forward in Montgomery County with fresh ideas.
Now, okay, so we do remember the term changed. That was the last election, and but given the track record of your campaigns, it has not been very successful. What made this time different? Well, why should people vote for you this time?
I think that I have been very successful because I brought about the 2 major changes that I mentioned. Term limits was a sea change. It meant that 5 elected officials in the county government could not run again, including the county executive. And now 2 of my 2 opponents are saying that people voted to limit them in office because they wanted to promote them. Not true. people in Montgomery County want to change. Change comes from someone outside the county government, not in it.
Okay. Now, if you have you any experience in county government?
I'm the only candidate who was a member of the Maryland legislature. I was elected to the legislature. I'm the only candidate who has an honorable discharge from the armed forces, U.S. Armed Forces. I'm the only candidate who has a degree in engineering. I'm the only candidate who is in court each and every day. The life of the county goes through the courthouse. I've completed 35,000 cases in Maryland courts and overturned 3 Maryland laws in federal court.
Okay. As we mentioned the court, as an attorney, you were disciplined or reprimanded 5 times, 5 different times by Maryland Court of Appeals or Maryland Attorney Grievance Commission. Do you have anything to say about this record?
Well, I'm in court every day, and when you bring about big changes in the court system, then attorneys get upset. For instance, I overturned a state law which forbid attorneys to mail solicitations to people who had been arrested. Then I went to the U.S. Court of Appeals and won a case where I was opposed by the Maryland Defense Attorneys Association to allow mailings to people who had been arrested within 30 days of their arrest. When you lower the prices, when you lower the fees of attorneys by sending out mailings, attorneys get upset because with many, it's all about the money.
So you say those reprimands comes about because you made changes in the legal system?
I'm saying that attorneys become upset and then they file complaints about one thing or another. But I brought about rather large changes, including, for instance, overturning a law which forbid petition gatherers to pay people that were collecting signatures. I overturned the regulation in Montgomery County courts, in parks I mean, which did not allow the presentation of signs or collecting of signatures. When you bring about change, people get upset and then they oppose you in another way. But I've been very successful. Just recently, well, I've won my last 10 jury trials. Recently, I won a case where the best plea offer was 45 years in jail. The jury came back and said not guilty 23 times in a row, and the young man's mother cried with relief for a half an hour after that verdict.
Okay, so you have some success in the courtroom. Now, as county executive, what will be your top 3 priority for the people in Montgomery County?
Certainly education. I went through Montgomery County Public Schools. I had 3 degrees in law, public administration, and engineering. I have 3 children who went through Montgomery County Public Schools. I want to see that the next Steve Jobs comes from Montgomery County. I want to challenge the children. Children rise to the level of expectation, and I'm going to give every child a chance to be a booming success.
Okay, that's one priority.
The second priority is to improve I-270 and the American Legion Bridge, because people driving there, I'm the only candidate who does not live in the Tacoma Park trapezoid. My 2 opponents live there. All 4 county council at-large candidates live in the Tacoma Park trapezoid, which is an area 4.1% of Montgomery County. Only 4.1%. I'm the only candidate running at large who doesn't live there. I have the up-county point of view. I drive I-270 each and every day. My 2009 Ford Escape Hybrid has 430,000 miles. I'm a hustler, not a couch potato like my opponents.
And
I get around.
And it's still running.
And I know that people on I-270 are worried about getting parking tickets while they're driving there. I don't like the governor's plan, which puts into the future a study of the congestion from Montgomery Village north to Clarksburg. That should be studied now. That should have been studied 10 years ago. We have to get Montgomery County moving, and we've been Tacoma parked.
Now, your top priority is education. But
yes.
As we know, education in Montgomery County, MCPS, is under the governors of Board of Education. And there are many people who believe education should be left to the professionals. So realistically, how do you view the county executive's position's influence on education, and how much can really a county executive do to change the education system here?
Well, we have to fund education. For instance, we have in Montgomery County 18% of the state's students, 40% of the state's new students. Over the last 10 years, we've gotten only 12% of the state's school construction dollars. Right. I am the candidate who has the best relationship with Governor Hogan, who I think will be reelected. We need someone from Montgomery County who can work with the governor in a friendly way. I was friends with his dad, and bring home those education dollars to Montgomery County, which have been sorely lacking.
You mentioned about on the education. Let me follow up with one more question.
Sure.
You mentioned you are on friendly terms with Governor Hogan.
Yes.
But as we understand, Maryland is a deep blue state, is Democrat controls the delegates. Democrat has more people on positions all over the state. And has the Republican machines always been behind you in your campaigns, and will it be behind you once you get this position?
Well, I think if I get the position, I'll be one of the very few elected Republicans from Montgomery County. The last time I won in Montgomery County, I was the only Republican on the ballot for any office that was elected. But I'm really an independent Republican. I think for myself, no one is calling my tune. And I am going to do what's best for the people of Montgomery County. I'm going to be an advocate for my clients, the people of Montgomery County. I think that the Montgomery County delegation needs to step up and show some initiative, because I think we're going to be getting a new Speaker of the House of Delegates. I don't think Speaker Bush is going to run for Speaker again. Montgomery County needs to have a speaker for the first time since 1929. I'm pushing Delegate Moon. There might be another choice, but it should be from Montgomery County, because the speaker can direct a lot of goodwill and resources back to the county. As Democrats, they should do that.
Okay. You talk about your second priority as of transportation.
Yes.
And you talk about I-270.
Yes.
What can we do about I-270? What other ideas, a project you have in mind?
Well, I was in high school when they built the American Legion Bridge. Then the population of Montgomery County was 400,000 people. It's
a million now.
It's now 1.1 million, right? And the bridge has not been widened. Why not? Why haven't these Democrats that have been running the county since I was in high school, why haven't they done something about that? I-270 needs 2 new reversible lanes at the very minimum. But I have to commend Governor Hogan for putting out an array of 16 different alternatives that people can comment on, because over the last 12 to 16 years in Montgomery County, nothing has happened. We've been stopped cold, and people arrive home, they're upset. They arrive at work, they're upset. And no wonder some people break the law and text on the phone, because they're sitting there. What are they going to do? Read a book?
Okay. All right. So widening the bridge will be your approach to alleviate
the bridge and getting 2 new reversible lanes on I-270. I actually drive I-270. My opponents want to put people on the bus. Okay, I'm not in favor of that, because I don't think most people want to ride the bus. They're a little unsure who else is on the bus. They want to drive their cars. We haven't been improving the roads in Montgomery County. There are 150 new road projects on the books. M83, which is an up-county road. I remember back in 2002, there was talk that 45,000 new people would be coming to Clarksburg, and they needed M83. Now, 30,000 of those 45,000 people are here. We still haven't built M83. We need to get Montgomery County moving, and I am going to be in Pete Ron's office at 8 o'clock the Wednesday after the election and say, Pete, I hope you didn't, he's the Maryland Secretary of Transportation. I'm going to say, Pete, I hope you weren't celebrating too late because I'm here to get Montgomery County moving again. What are we going to do about improving I-270 right now?
Okay. All right. So you mentioned your other two opponents that have been long time, have been working for county government for a long time. And the independent candidate, Nancy Florine, has made economic development the centerpiece of her campaign.
Yes.
Also, traffic is to alleviate traffic congestion. She actually also put out a detailed plan. So how is your campaign any different from hers?
Well, I'm running as an independent Republican. We have never, ever had an elected independent candidate win in Maryland for any office. So I don't think she is really serious about winning this race. I think it's between me and Mr. Elric, who was quoted in the Washington Post as saying, civilizations are not remembered for their tax rates. He is captive to the unions. I am not. I believe he voted for a 30% increase in the council pay, which gave all the unions an incentive to ask for more. I'm looking out for the taxpayers in Montgomery County, the homeowners in Montgomery County, the average people that are paying the bills.
So you don't see much difference between you and Miss Nancy Florine?
Well, I do, because she is a tax increase specialist. She was council president twice. In 2010, she pushed through a 156% increase in the residential energy tax. I was there testifying against it. And in 2016, both she and Mark voted for an unnecessary 9% increase in the real estate transfer tax and a 30% increase in the, a 9% increase in the real estate tax, the property tax, and a 30% increase in the real estate transfer tax. They're tax increase specialists. I stopped property tax increases in 2008 with my amendment, which required a unanimous vote, because back then the person who was weak, worried about re-election, could vote against the tax increase knowing it was going to pass. Now it requires 9 votes. Everyone is the deciding vote. And Miss Florine and Mr. Elric were the 2 deciding votes for this 9% property tax increase, which took a lot of housing out of the affordable category and really hurt the average person in Montgomery County. It was unnecessary. We have to learn to live within our means without tax increases. And I listen to CNBC every day. I know businesses, and we really only had like 6 businesses move to Montgomery County over the last 5 years. I know that businesses want certainty. They can be certain that I am not going to increase their taxes during the next 4 years.
So no corporate tax increase?
No tax increases at all. I'd like to cut the tax on paper bags. They're biodegradable. I'd like to cut out some of these speed camera taxes in non-school zones. And I want to limit increases in the property tax to the rate of inflation. We had a 9% increase. The inflation rate was 1.8%. That means that if one of my opponents had changed their vote and voted against that increase, we wouldn't have had a property tax increase which was 5 times the rate of inflation, while Social Security recipients got no increase at all.
Then if you cut the taxes, then where you will have a shortfall in your budget? Where would you find money to fund your budget? I'm
not going to cut the taxes. I'm going to cut the increases. Okay, except for the bag tax, which isn't much, and the speed camera tax.
So you're saying, are you reversing the 9% increase in property tax?
No.
So you are
I'm saying in the future, I'm not going to.
You're just saying a not increase in the future.
I'm not going to increase it beyond the rate of inflation. But I'll say this: look what my opponents have done. This past year, they reached into the health benefits fund, the $1 billion health benefits fund, and took out $75 million to finance the budget. They have been increasing the debt in Montgomery County at 5 times the rate of inflation over the last 8 years. They're borrowing. And they're not talking about this. Coming down the road is the Kerwin report, which will readjust the education funding formulas for the counties, and Montgomery County is likely to take a $100 million hit. Where's that money coming from? I'm going to bring in business. I went out, I spent a week at Amazon HQ1 to see what it would be like to bring Amazon HQ2 here. I met with at least 50 employees there, and they want freedom. They want freedom from regulation experts. They want freedom from tax increase experts. And when they come here, they're going to be delighted. As I said before, BFF, Bezos' friendship with Ficker, we're going to get along famously, and don't be surprised if Amazon HQ2 is so happy here that they decide to move Amazon HQ1 to Lake Forest. One of the reasons Amazon wanted to move from Seattle is that Seattle tried to impose, and did impose, an employee head tax. It ended up being $275, but the people in Seattle wanted much more. And I think if if Amazon moves here, there'll be an attempt to put a head tax on too, but not by me.
There are a lot of speculation why Amazon H2Q is setting up in a new place, but we know officially that it wants East Coast exposure. That's what we have heard. But anyway, the package is already there. The package is already delivered, and we'll know their decision when they give a decision. Now,
but after the election, see, I think one of the factors is who wins the election. They want someone who is friendly to business, and that is me.
Let's shift gear a little bit from economic development. Let's talk about school safety.
Okay.
Everyone remember Florida Portland shooting, 2018. I think in history that is a very big and devastating day. Now in Maryland we have 2 smaller but also school shooting happened, one in Lexington and one in Oxon Hill.
Yes.
And so if elected county executive, what would you be able to do to ensure student safety and in general resident safety in Montgomery County?
Well, I'm in court every day and I'm used to working with the police, and I'd like to appoint a new police chief, Jay Wang, who's now running for sheriff. If he doesn't make that, I'd like to appoint him police chief. But I know the tricks of these criminals. I've been in court every day for 35 years. There's another danger to the students that isn't talked about nearly as much. And for instance, at Cloverly Elementary, there were 3 incidents in the last 2 years where children were sexually abused by employees of the school system. Recently, there was a school bus driver who was manipulating a young lady who had problems, who couldn't even speak on the school bus. He knew there was a camera on the bus, but he also knew that no one was watching that camera. It turned out that he also had molested a number of other students. And we are not going to have any school board employee, bus driver, aide, anyone abusing our students while I'm county executive, because as soon as I hear about such a thing, I'm going to be right on top of it. I was the only candidate who went to Cloverly Elementary for their meeting there. I was the only candidate who went to the school board meeting of the students that were handicapped parents. And we don't need an enemy within. We need to treat our students with respect and with dignity. If you look at my Facebook page, I'm the only candidate that has 2 little kids in his picture. Those are my grandchildren. I want to give every child an opportunity to succeed, and we are not going to be hurting our children from within or from without.
Right. We got emails about those incidents, and nobody is taking it lightly, and the school is addressing these issues. Now, you mentioned if you are executive, county executive, you will appoint Mr. Jay Juan asked the police chief.
If he doesn't make sheriff, which he may.
Sheriff. Have you communicated with him
Oh,
on
yes,
this issue?
I have.
So you have communicated with him, saying this is.
And he hasn't said no, but I'll tell you this: he is a JAG officer. He's an attorney. He's deputy commander of Germantown. He's a family man. He has a wonderful manner. I've observed him in action many times, and I think he would be an outstanding police chief. Not that there's anything wrong with the present police chief, but I think Jay Wang would be a better one.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about immigration.
Okay.
It's a hot topic nowadays, both legal and illegal immigration.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit of your point of view, especially in regard of Montgomery County's situation?
Well, I am in court every day and I see the problems. I have represented people that have various immigration statuses. There is a dearth of education on immigration law not only among the lay people, but among attorneys. I'm dealing with other attorneys every day. They don't know the immigration laws. I would like to institute a program here at Germantown, Rockville, and Tacoma Park, Montgomery College to teach citizens, whether they're here legally or not, about the immigration laws so that we can get maximum compliance with the extent possible.
Robin, what law do you practice? I know law.
I do criminal and serious traffic defense. I charge people that are charged with crimes, with doing something wrong, and I stand up for their rights.
Okay. All right. So let's. Asian American community is about 14% of Montgomery County's residents. What have you done, or what have your experience been with this community? And as county executive, what things you think that can improve the lives of Asian Americans here?
I have many contributors who are Asian American. If you recall, I am doing the public financing, which limits your contributions to $150. The first 50 is matched 6 to 1, second 50, 4 to 1. And I have gotten many contributions because people in the Asian community know that I am pro-education. My dad worked for 40 years in the Congressional Research Service and the Library of Congress. He used to bring me home 6 books a week. I want to maximize the use of our libraries. I go to the libraries now, I see many Asian children there. People who spend time in the libraries, children who spend time in the libraries are going to be successes. It's the kids that don't that have problems. So I want to talk to the people in the school system, talk to the people in the library system, maximize this great advantage that we have here of wonderful libraries, and let kids spend time there. Let them go out and play outside and get their exercise, and then come in and read their books every day as I did.
Okay, so you were saying what Asian American community has done for you, but
Yes.
What would you be able to help out how can you help Asian American community?
I want to reward kids that achieve. I want to have testing. I want to help kids get ahead. I want the children to be challenged. I'd like to expand the magnet program. I want to be fair and not arbitrarily exclude Asian children from the magnet programs because there might be too many Asian children in the programs.
But isn't that under Board of Education?
Well, it is, but I have a bully pulpit and I can speak out about these things. Also, I want to include Asian Americans in the various boards and commissions that I would appoint. And the county executive has hundreds of appointments. And I want to make sure that Asian Americans are well represented. You know, when I was in college, I always tried to room with and be friends with the person that was #1 in my class, because I know that every adult in Montgomery County knows more about at least one subject than I do. I know the smartest person picks the best brains, and I know we have lots of smart Asian Americans, and I'm going to be a good listener. Every Monday morning at 6 a.m., I'm going to start having first come, first serve. I'm going to listen to the people of Montgomery County and say, have you been discriminated against? Are you treated fairly? What is your idea for improving Montgomery County? And I'm going to listen to these ideas, and we're going to try to accomplish the goal of what they want at 6 a.m. by 5 o'clock when we leave the office.
You have a tall order there.
Well, we do, but as I said, I work hard. I'm used to working hard. I'm going to have a good staff. I've got a Maryland district judge identified who I would like to become the chief administrative officer. I'm going to half my cabinet's going to be female, and we're going to have everyone fairly represented in that cabinet, certainly including Asian Americans.
All right. Now, one topic of concern or sensitivity is about data collection in Asian American communities because of the history of Chinese Exclusion Act, because of the Japanese internment camps during World War II.
What a blemish on our history, right?
Right. So we are sensitive to data collection, especially race data collection. A lot of laws are set by federal and state level, but within Montgomery County, our schools or the social services that we use also do collect data. What's your view on this issue?
I think they break it down too much. I don't see anything wrong with having a category of Asian Americans, but I wouldn't break it down further than that into each little country, each little segment.
Then what about the argument that a lot of time these data is for funding of service? For example, for language, if you have a language need, if certain amount of population need to use a different language, they will provide funding to fund interpretation or social service in their language. How would you go about dealing with it?
I believe in English immersion, and as a matter of fact, I'd like to institute a program of English Saturdays so that kids that are having trouble with English, I would get some of our highly paid administrators who have no student contact. I would have them come in on Saturdays and teach some of these children that are having problems with English, because I think that in order to be a success in America these days, you have to speak English well. You have to learn English. You have to understand English. You have to read English. And I want to give our children a boost so that we bend our twigs so that our trees grow up straight and tall and are very productive. I want every Montgomery County child to end up being a sequoia.
Right. Okay. Sequoia. What about their parents who are already grown trees?
Well, if the parents want to come to English Saturdays, that's fine with me, because I certainly don't claim to know it all. And some of these parents, my parents immigrated to the United States in 1937, and I had a different kind of problem. I had an English accent. I used to say tomato instead of tomato, etc. But when you come from speaking a completely different tongue, you need help. That's why this English Saturdays would be a good idea, not only for the children. They could come with the parents and children and speak English together. English immersion is the way to go, I believe.
Here and there, you talk a little bit about your family. Now I know you are of English descent, and then you have 2 grandchildren who are on your campaign website. Anything else you want to share about your personal life to our audience? Well,
it's that I work very hard. I've placed about 25 questions on the ballot here in Montgomery County. I had the question which forbid garbage dumps in residential zones. The Democratic Council actually wanted to put the county garbage dump at Avenel, where they have that world-class golf course, believe it or not.
When was that?
That was in 1978.
Okay.
And I got that question passed, which disallowed that program. The county council was also allowing sewage sludge trenching in residential zones, and kids would be coming home. This was up in Germantown. They'd be trenching the sludge in the fields. Kids and their puppies would come home and track this black stuff on the carpet. I passed a question disallowing that. That was stopped.
What year was that?
That was in 1980.
Okay. I'm going to go and check to see if we have any questions from the audience.
Go ahead. I like audience questions. The tougher, the better.
All right. Let's see.
Bring it on, audience.
Right. Okay. Here we go. All right. Okay. So we touch a point of this one, but this audience is asking again, so what government position have you ever held before? What experience, government experience, can you bring to this position?
Well, keep in mind that my dad was in the Congressional Research Service for the Library of Congress, so he would bring home the congressional record and he would show me a speech that he had written for a senator that was printed in the record, and then he would show me another speech on the same subject, but the opposite side of that subject, given by another senator. He had written both speeches. I have an MA in public administration. I was in the Maryland House of Delegates. I've had my own law practice, employing many attorneys. I've had my own real estate brokerage, employing many people there as well. So, and plus being in courts, Ike Leggett is an attorney. He said that having experience in the judiciary, in the judicial branch, very important, because you keep in touch with the questions of the day, the disputes of the day, and I think that's a unique experience that I have.
Okay. You have any budgetary experience?
Well, I have a law office budget that I meet every year, every day. I have a real estate brokerage budget. I have a family budget. And let's just point out one thing that I've noticed about the county budget. Okay? We have a $4 billion pension fund. Guess how much of that is invested in Amazon, which is a stock that appreciated 75% last year, where we are offering billions in incentives to get Amazon HQ2 here. 0.3 of 1%. Guess how much
is that managed by the county government?
It's managed by people that they hire. Guess how much of the county $4 billion pension fund is invested in Apple? You've heard of Warren Buffett, the most famous U.S. investor. Apple is his largest increase in any holding over the past year. Apple's appreciated more than 50%. 0.15 of 1% of the county pension fund is invested in Apple. Would it be risky to enlarge that quite a bit? I don't think so. Warren Buffett doesn't think so. Jeff Bezos doesn't think that Amazon is a risky stock. He's expanding like Topsy. So why aren't we making money on the money we have? Why aren't we making money on our taxpayers' money? That's a budgetary insight that I have that my opponents who have been there 12 and 16 years have never thought of.
So you think the county executive will interfere with the pension managing company?
You're darn right he will. He's gonna speak up, and if we aren't investing our money well, I'm gonna say something. I'm not gonna, and if we're doing poorly, I might try to replace some of the people that are managing our money. We're paying them very high fees.
Okay. All right, so let me see. So you talk about your education as so important an issue for your campaign and for your governors if you are elected. So this question comes from an audience saying that if you are the county executive, you control the county budget, but you don't have a direct hand with MCPS. So what concrete step you can take to change our education?
I want to make sure our education budget is funded adequately, but I'm going to do something else. I'm going to attend school board meetings, not as a participant. I'm not going to get there, start spouting off like I am here. I'm going to be there as a good listener, and I'm going to learn what's going on in Montgomery County. For instance, I know by attending a school board meeting that Poolsville High School reconstruction which is a magnet school, that should be given top priority. They're a large part parts of that school that were built in 1950, yet for whatever reason, it isn't being given the top priority that I'm going to point out to the superintendent it should be given.
So, okay, so as I understand, MCPS have a very complex formula of how to calculate whether a school will be on the list to be renovated. So you are saying that as county executive, you are going to give your input as how they should.
Absolutely. When a formula for figuring out funding is so esoteric, so difficult to understand that only a handful of people understand it, that's not good, because this is public money. I've been to Poolesville High School. I've seen the kids sitting in the hallways for their meals because the cafeteria is completely inadequate. I've seen the doors there that won't shut. We're gonna make some changes there, and I'm not gonna go into the school board and say, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm going to make very pleasant suggestions. I know how to disagree without being disagreeable. I negotiate cases in court with powerful prosecutors, oftentimes many prosecutors in one case every day. So I'm going to give suggestions to the school board and hopefully meet them halfway.
All right. So a lot of people wondering about, they would like you to make a prediction. What are your chances of winning?
Oh, I think I'm going to win. I think that it's going to boil down to Mr. Elrich and myself, and I think that people are going to realize he's completely beholden to the unions. I'm following the spirit of the public finance law. And the public finance law says no union contributions, no PAC contributions. He's taking money from the public finance system while there's a parallel campaign which is funding his effort from the unions and PAC. So, you know, I'm responsible only to the small contributors. I was a good friend of Neil Potter, who was the county executive of Montgomery County. I even dated his daughter a few times. And I know that Neil believed that the person that spends the most money isn't going to buy the office of Montgomery County executive. The person that does well in the debates will likely win. We have 3 debates this week. I debate every day in court. My opponents are go along, get along. They passed a 9% property tax increase with no debate whatsoever. So we're going to be debating the issues in this campaign.
The 9%, let's go back and talk about this 9% property tax, because it comes up so often.
It does.
So it was said,
I bring it up.
The reason they passed this 9% is because our school was so underfunded. So they understand the repercussion of raising property tax, but they feel, this is according to their statement, but they feel for the future of our children, they will have to do this one time. How do you feel, or how would you come up with money to fund the education without increase the property tax? As property tax goes to our schools.
From 2001 to 2016, of the 24 jurisdictions in the Washington area, Montgomery County was ranked number 19 in as far as private sector employment growth was concerned. For the past 5 years, when there were 13,600 new jobs, new enterprises, new businesses in the Washington area, Montgomery County got 6. We haven't been attracting new businesses. We're obsessed with regulation. We pass these, look at it this way. I mentioned the Tacoma Park trapezoid, okay, where my 2 opponents live and all 4 at-large council members live. The largest employer there was the Discovery Channel.
Right.
This was a neighbor of my 2 opponents. They were in there for over a decade. Why weren't they in touch with their largest employer? Why didn't they hear about the feelers the Discovery Channel was sending out elsewhere. The Discovery Channel left here because they weren't happy here. They weren't happy with their neighbors. And I'm going to be in touch with our major employees, help them expand, and also bring in new employers with a friendly, business-friendly, open attitude. I've never met a Montgomery Countyan that I didn't like. I've never met a business that is looking for a place to open up a new office and that I didn't like either.
Okay, let me follow up with two questions then. County tax and property tax. Now, education money, help us understand, is from the property tax. It's different from business tax.
Yes.
Okay. And second thing I want to understand is actually some largest employer of Montgomery County is the federal government agencies.
Yes, no question.
Yes. So how do you see you work with these agencies in when we have basically a hiring freeze from the federal government because they are also short of money in budget crisis. They try to avoid the total shutdown.
Yeah, we don't want to shut down ever.
Right. So how do you think that you can work with them to have them open more offices here or hire more people in Montgomery County?
Let's look at the FBI headquarters. Okay. The FBI has thousands of highly educated, hard-working people. We've seen all the talk about the FBI in the news lately. They were looking for a new headquarters, okay? Montgomery County didn't even make a bid for the FBI headquarters. Prince George's did, Northern Virginia did, but Montgomery County didn't. Why in the world not? If you have a crime-fighting outfit like that in Montgomery County, if you were a criminal, would you locate in Montgomery County if you knew that you had 1,000 FBI employees living in Montgomery County and the headquarters was here? I think I'd move elsewhere. That was a wonderful federal expansion project. Now, I understand that they've made a decision not to build a new headquarters, but I think that's going to change because the building is deteriorating, and I guarantee you when I'm county executive, we're going to make a very strong bid for the FBI headquarters.
So let me follow up with this question then. At the time when Montgomery County didn't bid for the FBI headquarters, and there was talk among the residents whether there were discussion and focus group whether we would like to have FBI headquarters in the county. But at the time, somehow the consensus was, at least the action said the consensus was, Montgomery County actually does not welcome to have an FBI headquarters here. So as the county executive, how much would you listen to the county residents?
I would listen, but I would be an advocate for the FBI headquarters because I've met many FBI in my work as an attorney. I've met many FBI agents. They are upward mobiles. They are smart people. They have smart children. They are going to be their children are going to be in our schools, and they're going to raise the standards of our schools, raise the standards of our community. This is a wonderful group of people. They're orderly. They're on time. They meet schedules. They work hard. They're inquiring. They are people of perpetual inquiry. I'm sure they're all good at chess. They're two steps ahead. Why would you not want the FBI headquarters? I would have been their advocate if I'd have been in office then.
Okay, now let's change gear. There is a question from the audience about marijuana. Now, marijuana in Maryland is legalized. This is
medical marijuana.
Medical, yeah, let me correct. Medical marijuana is legalized by the state government.
Yes.
So at the county level, we don't have the question whether medical marijuana is legal or illegal, but we need to deal with how to handle it now that it's on the market. As a county executive, what are your views? What is your view towards medical use marijuana, and how do you think you will handle the issues that will arise from the using of marijuana?
Well, medical marijuana is legal, and I'm not going to try to overturn state law now. I think that we have health professionals that are okaying certain people for marijuana. They have to have a card which allows them to have it. They can only buy a certain amount at a time, only possess a certain amount. And I know that we've also taken steps to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana so that people don't have a record that ends up disqualifying them from certain jobs. But at the same time, if we have widespread distribution of large amounts of marijuana, then we might have problems with our school children. It affects the brains of youngsters a little differently, and I want our kids to think about studying, not being able to rationalize not working hard. So we have to be very wary of the influence on our youth, who I want to protect, and we also want to make sure that our roads are safe, because if someone's driving under the influence of marijuana, you might run into you.
Right. It's the same like alcohol, you know. Right,
well, yes.
Right. Now, we don't have much time. Let me ask you, if I may, this personal question from the audience. How old are you, Mr. Ficker?
I'm 30 and holding.
All right, I think that's a perfect ending for the interview today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, okay, thank you. 感谢各位观众收看今天的 ACM 萌专访。我们也特别感谢Mr. Ficker 来参加我们的访问。上星期呢，我们也向民主党候选人 Mark Elridge 发出了邀请，到至今为止，我们还没有收到 Mr. Elridge 的回信。我们会以第一时间向广大观众交流。如果 Mr. Elridge 能来 ACM 萌专访做客，好，今天节目到此结束，感谢大家收看。